Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
I love my little calendar girl.
Hello and welcome back for a second time to the DVD and Blu-ray part of the show. I've just actually managed to burn my hand on my radiator, which makes this even much more better. So coming up in the first DVD and Blu-ray section of 2013, we have our usual DVD and Blu-ray top 10 and reviews of the following movies.
Again, small little British horror film, sort of, When the Lights Went Out, drama movie Take This Waltz, a heist comedy Jackpot, documentary The Imposter.
And then, I forgot now we're doing this, aren't we?
Yeah.
See, now, I'm completely thrown off now. We're no longer doing DVD alternative, we are now doing TV movie of the week instead, which each week will give you a suggestion of something that's quite worth seeing coming up in the next 7 days on television. Unfortunately, anyone outside of the UK listening won't be able to follow this up, but anyone in the UK, you'll be able to catch the film we recommend, generally on a channel that will be free. So let's get into this week's show with DVD and Blu-ray top 10, starting at number 10 with a movie with a title which isn't a movie. Michael McIntyre, Showtime.
Yeah, second time it's been mentioned, but it's still stuck at number 10. Michael McIntyre, again, I find him quite funny. Andy doesn't like him. Yeah,
I did say before, but people couldn't hear me. Thank you, Spreaker. Because I did see him on the Jonathan Ross show over the Christmas period, and I thought he was actually not bad, but I don't like his stand-up. I thought he was fairly funny on the show, but just I don't like him in stand-up. Number 9, making a sort of nice re-entry. I'm surprised, actually, looking at Avengers Assemble.
Because of Christmas, would be my guess, because this is the first DVD and Blu-ray top 10 since the Christmas period. Avengers Assemble, voted the most overrated film by Elliot Reed.
Yeah,
you should have that on the box.
Bunch of idiots that voted, who there must have been. You must be right about the age or something. Number 8 is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. See, I can understand why this is in there.
Because of The Hobbit. And yeah. I'm surprised that it is in there, because I would have thought that a lot of people would have owned the Lord of the Rings trilogy anyway.
What, you mean like a lot of people should have owned the Batman films, like Batman Begins?
Yeah, maybe, but still, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, it's a given. A lot of people own this. I know a few people who watched the entire trilogy more than once over the Christmas period. So,
do you own it? Do you own the entire trilogy?
Yes, I do. I have the very limited edition rare DVD extended editions of them, where you get special statues and certificates of authenticity. So there, nice. Yeah.
Number 7 is Ice Age 4: Continental Drift.
The weakest of the Ice Age films. It's lost its way now, the Ice Age series. It's a series that needs to be put to rest, but it did pretty decent box office wise, so you can probably guarantee there's going to be a 5th one. Scrat will end off getting a few spin-offs, probably on DVD, direct-to-DVD ones. He wouldn't be able to sustain the whole film, even though he is the funniest thing about the Ice Age series.
Avengers Assemble at number 9 got 85% of the vote. This movie got 5% of the vote at number 6, Prometheus.
Which I was surprised that it only got 5% of the votes, because Prometheus is a really good film. I found it the second time. It was better than it was the first time. But it is really overrated, considering the amount of hype, the amount of publicity that this film got. I think it's more overrated than Avengers Assemble, and I'm surprised it only got 5%.
Talking of overrated, at number 5, Snow White and the Huntsman.
Yeah, I just thought that film was pretty bad. It's pretty dire. Kristen Stewart just shows that she only has one facial expression. She just can't act at all. Chris Hemsworth, it is Chris Hemsworth, isn't it? I get the brothers mixed up, considering that they look very similar. Chris Hemsworth has one of the worst accents since Russell Crowe in Robin Hood. So it's a pretty dire movie, to be honest. There is a new film, and there is a sequel coming out.
Sorry.
There is a sequel coming out, and it was originally Kristen Stewart wasn't going to be in it, but now she is.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not seeing that one. You're seeing it. Dibs. Cold.
I need to swallow that.
Number 4. Number 4 is The Hunger Games.
Yeah. The Hunger Games was a good film. It was a really, really good film. I like the way they did the sort of like the lightness of the film with the first hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes, and how brutal it got in the last part of the film. It takes so much from loads of other movies, though, things like Battle Royale and Lord of the Flies, even The Truman Show. So it takes a lot from that, and it's a good starting point for the Hunger Games series of films.
Number 3 is the 2012 Olympic Games in London.
Yeah, I'm just looking at a message in the live chat from Mr. Moobs, and he's showing the many faces of Kristen Stewart, which they all look exactly the same. See? That's my point. She has only one facial expression. Yeah, London 2012 Olympic Games, I think we're done with that now, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm surprised it's still up there. I mean, obviously it's been there over Christmas, but I would have thought now it would have dropped out.
Yeah, maybe.
Number 2 is Total Recall,
which I thought was quite weak. It has its problems. It's got a decent enough visual style. It's ridiculous at points. It's got some elements of the movie which is completely ridiculous. Colin Farrell he's okay in it. Kate Beckinsale, she's fine in the film. It's directed by Lynn Wiseman, who Kate Beckinsale she's married to, isn't she?
Yes.
And they do like the last series of films they did was the Underworld movies, which pretty much sucked, the last Underworld film. So it's okay for what it is. It's nothing special at all.
I don't think. Yeah, I mean, I love the original. This is not a touch on the original, but I think for overall, considering what's involved, it's a solid film. It's just not. It's not a touch on the original, and Jessica Biel was just completely pointless in the film. I think Kate Beckinsale has a really decent performance in it, and a nice reworking of the character she plays from the original film. So it means that the number 1 film. Are we really surprised at this?
No.
I'm not either. I mean, I'm surprised that there's not been anything more any more change at the top than this, to be honest. But The Dark Knight Rises is still the number 1 film.
Yeah, it'll have sold bucket loads over the Christmas holiday. A lot of kids will have wanted The Dark Knight Rises for Christmas. A lot of people have bought Dark Knight Rises for Christmas. It's just the more you think about the film, the more you start picking it apart, the more you start seeing the plot holes and the negativity of the film. But that's not saying that the film is not a good film. It's a really, really good film. But the more you do start to analyse it, much more so than Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, and it seems to have more problems in those two films.
I kind of agree. I don't think it's as good as it. Now that there's been time since it was released, I think because there was something the other night. I was actually, I can't remember if it was Facebook or Twitter, but I did reply to something about it, and I think The Dark Knight stands out as the better of the 3 than The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
But we won't get into this here because that will then take us through the entirety of the show, which after this short break we will then get into our first review.
Hello everyone, Dalek Sex speaking, here to tell you about Season 3 of We Are the Holocaust. Being trapped in hell was rubbish, that's why we escaped, but the portal turned out to be in Norfolk, which just goes to show you that God's not the only one with a sense of humour. Now we're bombing across the Norfolk Broads in a stolen Winnebago, which is rubbish too, because Bouncy was all like,
"No, don't touch anything. Don't let Dalek drive."
But of course I did. Now Joystick is dead, the Newsbot sank into the swamps and Dr. Hamhocks had a nervous breakdown, Bouncy certainly appears to all intents and purposes to be dead, and some other tosser is dead as well.
Peter Molyneux! You hit him!
So, it looks like it's just going to be me this week. Friday night, 11 o'clock, on Spreaker.com and iTunes, Follow us on Twitter at We Are The Lolacourst. That's with a letter R, by the way. Toodles!
So, thank you to the guys at the Holocaust who have now moved nights to Friday nights at 11. So, let's get into our first review. Take it away, Stuart.
Yeah, one quick thing to mention about that trailer. It doesn't have any swear words in it, but it does have the word tosser. And tosser, I think we can just get away with using that word, but once a night. So I just thought, I know I've said that twice now, but I just thought I would explain that, just in case people thought they'll get onto us on the live chat or whatever. So yeah, I think we're allowed to use that word once, and it's only in that trailer.
We're gonna. That means you can't say it though for any reviews now.
Yeah, well, we could see it when we do the cinema part of the show, but not in the Blu-ray and DVD part of the show. What we should do is mix it around each week then, so then it gives us a chance.
I guess we're kind of fortunate that we've already reviewed Keith Lemon, the film.
Yeah, because he is a major raging one of those.
Yeah.
Right, first film of the night is When the Lights Went Out. It's a small, and now I'm not classifying this as a horror because it has horror elements to it. It's about possession, but it's not a proper horror film that you would normally expect. It's a small, sort of like chiller kind of movie. It's directed by Pat Holden, and it stars Kate Ashfield, who plays Jenny, who's the mother of this daughter, who's Lucy, played by Hannah Clifford, and her father, Jacob Clark, who plays Jenkins. All three of them are moving into this house because for some reason they've had to move out of where they are, and they're supposedly moving into their dream home. Everything seems to be fine. There is a few bumps in the night, but you maybe expect that kind of thing from a house that you moved in. A few creaky floorboards, maybe the light might move slightly because a wind might have just blown in. The thing is, though, over time, these things start to get a bit more extreme until the daughter, she starts spotting the fact that the bed sheets are starting to move off her, or when they're down in the kitchen with her mother, she's hearing really loud bangs. Evidently, you find out that there is a ghost of some kind inside this house, and it's not just annoying the family, but it seems to want the daughter for some reason. The daughter, she establishes a relationship with sort of like the kookiest girl in the town, and everybody does not believe the fact that the house is possessed. Even so, when the papers come round, they think that they're only doing it for some publicity, that they want some money, and so the kids in her school start to pick on Lucy, and they obviously don't believe her because they don't believe in ghosts. And the rest of the film, it just centers around the family trying to get out of the house and trying to stop this possession that's happening, and you find out what happened. Now, for all it's a small little British film, it works at times because the fact that if this was handled by an American studio, it would have been something like The Devil Inside, and The Devil Inside was one of the worst films of 2012. They would have just thought, let's throw a few scares at it, nothing in between, and there you go, you've got a film. The way we handle it in the UK, we seem to be able to handle smaller movies and smaller ideas like this. And it has a sort of like a good stylized look to it because it is set in the 70s. And it's okay for what it is. It didn't get a cinema release. You can tell that it didn't get a cinema release. It didn't need a cinema release. It works pretty fine on DVD. It's one of those movies where you would probably expect it would have suited more direct to TV. Because it's one of those films where if it's on for like 90 minutes, it's a 90-minute special shown on Halloween. So it works in that state, and it works for a small little British film. But don't expect to be scared in it, because there aren't any scares in it whatsoever. It has a ridiculous ending. Because I think the director just thought, let's try this, and the ending is pretty ridiculous. But for what it is, it's not too bad, even though it's a small little film.
So move on then to Take This Waltz. It's a movie that's written and directed by Sarah Polley. It stars Michelle Williams as Margot, who is we're introduced to her at the start of the movie. She's taking a tour of it's a sort of a kind of like a reenactment tour of this castle. And she then bumps into this man, Daniel, who then later on sees her on the flight back to Toronto, where she lives. The two of them sort of strike up a sort of weird conversation, and the two of them sort of have a little bit of a chat, and there is a sort of a weird kind of little bit of chemistry between the two of them. Things then sort of seem to be going along really well for them until the fact that she makes aware to him the fact that she is married, and the two of them then sort of still then from the airport share a cab back, and when they're going to stop at two separate places, but when she says where she's getting dropped off at, he's like, oh, that's surprising. Okay, you're not kidding, are you? You're serious, yeah? It turns out that he lives directly across the road from them, and she returns home sort of surprised, and while at the same time sort of excited and sort of curious the fact of that she's met this guy who's kind of interesting to her, but at the same time she is married, and she returns home to her husband, Lou, who's played by Seth Rogen. And yes, I did say Seth Rogen. The whole thing is sort of a drama of the situation that once she then gets back home, she is in this situation of the things are not quite exactly brilliant when she's at home. She doesn't feel as emotionally connected with her husband as she does with this character Daniel, and sort of things are going on around her that it sort of doesn't quite feel right in her life. Ultimately, at the end, as things build up, she then starts to question her own sort of her own beliefs as to whether or not she is in a happy marriage or not, or whether she wants to be with this man named Daniel. Here's a clip where the three of them all end up meeting together for the first time outside of the house.
Hey, oh, cool. Did you just move here?
I moved in pretty recently, just over there.
Welcome to the neighborhood. Should we start walking? If we leave now, we'll make it just in time.
Where are you going?
It's our anniversary. Every year we go see a movie at the Royal.
Nice. Hey, hop in. I'll give you a ride.
Oh, no, that's fine. We'll make it if we walk.
Are you serious?
Yes, I am.
I've always wanted to ride in one of these things.
It's
awesome.
Really?
Really? Yeah, come on. What are you doing? Come on.
We have enough time.
He's gonna give us a ride in the rickshaw. Just get in.
Get in. It's your anniversary.
Come on. Just do it. Come on. What are you doing? Get in. What the fuck? You're gonna ride in a rickshaw. Come on.
Just a second.
Okay, just put your...
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Thank you, for everything.
You all in?
Oh, boy.
This will be one for the history
Okay,
books.
hang on.
Oh!
Hang on.
I couldn't actually hear that playing at that time, but Stuart has informed me that there was a swear word involved in there, so
yeah,
apologies.
it's very quiet, the swear word, but I heard it. So yeah, the F-bomb is dropped in that clip there.
Okay, apologies to anyone listening for that, because we do try to avoid that on this show, but I wasn't aware of that in there, which is unusual because it's... Okay, that was a released clip. If it's not made clear in that clip that to anyone listening that the character of Daniel makes his living by running around pulling people in a rickshaw around the streets of Canada. As much as a interesting idea as that sounds, it's in this film, it's one of the few things that are rather odd about the film, and unfortunately for me, one of the things that really kind of distracted me from enjoying the film. There's a problem with this film for me is that I didn't really connect with any of the characters. I have this issue with Michelle Williams' character. Michelle Williams is really good in the film. She gives a really good, but it's like she's giving a really good, bored, distracted performance. And I kind of get that I kind of get that that's what is the point of the character and the point of the movie. That she's bored and she's distracted, and because she's not entirely happy with things and how things are going between her and Seth Rogen's character. While he's because he's in pretty much every scene you have him in, he is cooking and he's working on something because he's working on writing a book about cooking, and it's the thing of that I found myself just not getting into this, not really enjoying it, and by the end of it not really caring, which is for a film which is about a character who's potentially falling out of love and falling in love with someone. you need to be interested in it to really follow it and to enjoy it. And I mean, there's this whole thing of that you have scenes where there's all of these family members around and they're all tasting food, and there's so many things going on, yet there's nothing there. You're like, oh yeah, watch that. Oh yeah, there's nothing that really enticed me to pay attention to it. I'm watching it, I'm like, what's going on here and why am I watching this? And I found myself just sitting there questioning why I was watching it rather than questioning what the characters were doing, which for me is an utter failure in the film.
Yeah, I sort of liked it slightly more than you did.
I didn't hate it. I couldn't get into it. There's a character played by Sarah Silverman who is a friend of Michelle Williams' character, who's in the film for a few scenes, and they're friends, and they have these moments where they're sort of two girlfriends together, and they're just sort of being close and being supportive of each other because Sarah Silverman's character is an alcoholic, and it's just like there's elements of that they come into play later as well, and they don't even really at that point. I'm just like, I don't care with this, just get on with it. And I really did want more from it.
I felt it dragged a bit. It went on a bit too long personally as well. Seth Rogen isn't as annoying in this as he normally is.
No, he's not. He's perfectly fine in it. He is the perfectly normal house husband. He's not cracking jokes in it. I mean, there's scenes where there's the two of them, him and Michelle Williams, and they are joking around with each other and playing a bit, and then all of a sudden the mood completely changes, and it just goes from a happily married couple having fun, laughing around, cracking jokes, to then one of them gets upset and walks off, and the other one's left there, sort of standing, going, what just happened? And that's basically how I found myself thinking in the film. What just happened?
Yeah, you just want to jump in and say, have a break. Just I was wondering, would you say it? Just have a break, have a confectionery item.
No, let's move on. Let's stay away from confectionery items because I'm starting to get hungry as well.
Yeah, okay then. Next film is Jackpot. It's directed by Magnus Martins. It's based on a Joe Nesbo book. The last film that we reviewed by Joe Nesbo was Headhunters, which I've still not seen. I haven't been able to get the chance to see it, but I've seen this one. It's got a very simple premise. It centers around four people. Mainly, the main character in the film is Oscar, played by Carrie Hellam. And it centers around, he works in a Christmas tree factory. And so, brilliant job that, working in a Christmas tree factory. And what happens is, him and three of the workers in this Christmas tree factory decide to put on the football pools to try and win some money. They win 1.7 million crowns, because it's set in Norway, and so they win that on the football pools. The three people who were in it with him, one of them is an absolute complete lunatic. He's an absolutely complete lunatic. Oscar is sent to this strip joint to try and to get some alcohol. During the time, though, one of the three gets killed by the other two. So he gets back to the apartment and finds out the person's dead, so they have to try and dispose of the body. All in all, while this is going on, Oscar has been picked up by the police at the start of the film, and he's going through the story about what happened and why he is in this strip joint, and what's gone on to lead him into the strip joint. And you find out it follows route that somebody else ends up getting killed, and it has this farcical kind of slapstick humour sometimes to it to try and explain what's going on. And I just found the film a bit... It's a Norwegian film, and now foreign films that are comedies, that have subtitles, I don't think work very well, because the fact that you do see the joke written on the screen. When you watch a comedy movie, you're getting the joke told at you. But when you're watching a comedy film that's subtitled, then you have to read the joke to get it. And a lot of the time, it just doesn't work. It loses the humour. And this film, it lost its humour. There's a few moments where somebody might get hit and you think, okay, then it's quite funny that. There is a scene which involves the neighbour of Oscar who ends up pulling a finger out of this steel bowl of Cheetos. And yeah, maybe that might be slightly funny. And it's just that the film itself felt like it dragged. It was on for 82 minutes, and it well overused its running time. It just didn't have anything there to attach to any of the characters that are in the film that made you interested in them. And considering that it was written by Joe Nesbo, who did Headhunters, it's a movie that's pretty forgettable. It's just a forgettable film.
I'm just wondering, I mean, is it more, because Headhunters was quite shockingly violent at parts, but I'm guessing this is more, I don't say more shockingly violent, but I'm guessing it's more sort of brutal than that, because Headhunters has its moments that are quite, oh wow, didn't see that coming, really.
Yeah, there is brutal moments in the film, obviously, when somebody gets killed. The idea, what they have to get rid of them, is to put them in this wood chipper that is at the Christmas tree factory that they work. And they also think that a brilliant idea is to bury somebody in an open grave. They find this open grave and they try to bury him. There are some moments in the film where the violence is quite shocking, but it's, like I said, some of it is done in a slapstick kind of sense of humour. It just doesn't work.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go on to my last DVD review of the evening, which is for a documentary called The Imposter. Now, it's directed by Bart Layton, and it's a really unusual documentary in that it's about the true story of a boy who disappeared in the 1990s in Texas. There's a family there who's there's no sign of this boy. He's been missing then for 4 years, and then there's a call one day to say that a boy has been found in Spain who claims to be this missing boy, and he was missing when he was sort of 12 or 13. He's now 16 years old. Plans are then made to arrange to bring him over back to the United States from Spain, where he then tells a story of a sort of an unfortunate situation of kidnapping and torturing and abuse at the hands of several people in this thing. And his family then takes him in. He's got his older sister, he's got his mother there, and they all take him in, even though despite the fact of that he now looks radically different, and has a sort of a kind of a French accent to him. Now, it's weird saying that, but that is what in actual fact did happen. It was to do with this story of a man who did then get in touch with the authorities. He was sort of chased and pursued for information of who he was, to give him a name, and eventually then had to give them a name of someone who he found out was a missing boy, and it was this missing boy from Texas. And it's this whole question then of when he's brought over, the family then took him in and just basically accepted him as being their son. They didn't really seem to question it. They didn't, and it's one of these weird things. Now, the documentary, and it may sound really far-fetched, but the documentary does have all of this in there. It's not, this really did happen. It's really bizarre to think that it did, and that when he was brought over, it didn't really set off alarm bells with anyone, and especially the family, who he looked nothing like their son. And it's a really weird thing. But the thing that's really difficult when watching this is that the main thing of the documentary, the way it's done, is it is actually with the guy himself, the man who did claim to be their son. He is the one who is telling the story. He is the one who is on camera during it. There are recreations of things that happened with him playing himself. There are sequences where you see him and he's playing out how he perpetrated this. There's scenes where he's just sitting there and he's talking, and he's quite happily, with a kind of a smile on his face, admitting the fact of that he is not this person he claimed to be. I'm not spoiling this because it's explained at the start of the film that this is what happened, and it is a really good documentary. but it's the fact of that it's done from the point of view of the guy who did it, and it's him talking about it. There are interviews with the family members as well. There's interviews with the sister. There's interviews with the mother, and there's interviews with the FBI agent who was then investigating it because it was then kidnapping. There's a private investigator who was then brought in later at a later point by a TV channel that wanted to interview them, and he was investigating it. And he was one of the few people who had alarm bells ringing, going, "Come on, this is not the guy. This is not the boy that went missing. This is not the same person." And the problem is that it's kind of like it's him trying to justify what he did and why he did it, and the events, what happened. And I mean, the thing is that immediately when I was watching it, I had that feeling. As it goes on, there are things that develop which are surprising and do make you question certain things, but still the fact of that it's based on this, from his point of view, this controversial thing of that he then was pretending to be this other person. He stole this boy's identity, and all because of the fact that he was just basically trying to avoid going to jail. That for me, it's a questionable film. It really is questionable to watch this film and to be into this film. It's a thing of that. It's because of the fact that we are getting. I mean, one of the taglines of it, there are two sides to every lie. Well, on this one, we're getting more of the side of his than what everything else that happened. And unfortunately for me, it kind of left a really bitter taste in my mouth at the end of it, where I really was like, this character, this man who is named Frederick Borden, I think his name is. I really did not like him in the film at the end of it, and the whole thing of you. It's really not. I think it's a really bad way that this documentary has been done to show it from his view. I think it should have been shown either from the other side of the view or completely outside of it. It's done with him essentially presenting, this is what I did, this is what I'm doing. At that point, this happened, and I thought, oh well, now I'm in trouble, so I better do this. And it's unfortunately, it's kind of like someone in jail telling their life story, and then you're telling it to the public in a film format, which for me, it just feels completely wrong. It is a great documentary. I just found that it felt particularly immoral as a film, and as a real, especially being that it is a true story and it's true events. So let's go on to our last thing of the evening, which is the TV movie of the week, for a change.
Yeah, we decided to change the DVD alternative because we ran out of ideas, to be honest. And so we thought of TV movie of the week. Now, again, like Andy said at the start of the show, if you're living in the US, unfortunately, this is films that are shown on channels that are in the UK only. So it's England, Scotland, Ireland and Wales. They're also shown on Freeview, so we're choosing channels that are shown on Freeview that people should be able to get, rather than seeing that, oh yeah, go and watch it on Sky or Virgin. So it's movie.
Unfortunately, most of the time, it does mean that things will have adverts in them, but it does mean that you can catch up on some fantastic films for free.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's the whole reason why we decided to point this film out. And so the one I decided to choose was Near Dark, which is on Film 4 in the early hours of Sunday morning at 1:30 a.m. So Near Dark is the Catherine Bigelow film from 1987, which centres around a young man who decides to join this sort of like this group of vampires because he really fancies this girl that's in this group of vampires. And it's Catherine Bigelow is a fantastic director anyway. She's a brilliant director, and this is one of her strong films. She's shown that she can direct films that male directors seems to excel at. And you very rarely hear about a female director getting the plaudits that they deserve, because some of them don't. Some of them are really good directors, and it seems to be a male-orientated area of film direction. But when a female director like Catherine Bigelow, who is the only female to win an Oscar for Best Director, she has shown that she can cut it in the world of men when it comes to films. And Nia Dark is one of those prime examples of how brilliant of a director she is, because she gets the best out of all the actors in it. It's got Bill Paxton in it, it's got Lance Henriksen in it, and they're all fantastic in the film. The whole film itself is definitely worth a watch. It is on really early in the morning at 1:30 on the Sunday morning. But if you've got a recording device, record it. If you've not got it on DVD, record it. If you're up that late, then watch it, because it's a really, really good film.
Yeah, and a great one to watch when you're drunk.
Oh yeah.
Which I think most people will be at the time that's on a Saturday night, Sunday morning. I can see US Danny Dyer fan really does know this film, because she's quoting it quite well at the moment in the chat at the moment. Right. Thank you to everyone who has been listening to us live, despite the technical difficulties that we had at the start of the second half.
Yeah, but it was Spreaker, not us.
Yeah. We hope that we won't have these again in the future. Fingers crossed. Thanks to everyone, if you're listening to us live, or if not, if you're listening to us on the catch-up. If you are not sure where else you can catch us other than mondaymovieshow.co.uk, you can catch up on the show at any place, things like iTunes. You can catch us on Facebook. Just search for us, Monday Movie Show, and we're on Twitter as well, which is at Monday Movie Show. I'm on there as at AHDVD. Stuart is on there as at Cryptic Tadpole. Do feel welcome as well to check out our good friends, the Holocaust, as you heard the ads during the show, which are now moved to Friday nights at 11 o'clock. They're also found at holocaust.co.uk. You have the Gamescast, who are good friends who are into everything about gaming, who are www.thegamescast.com. And there's also our good friend Stuart, appears on their show on Mark's Following the Nerd show every Thursday night, doing the UK Top 10 there. It is UK Top 10, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Every Thursday night they have a show live at 9 o'clock. Followingthenerd.com, you can find links on there, and they have regular updates during the week as well. So,
and one other thing, I take part in another podcast called From Page to Screen, which gets recorded on a Sunday night with another person called Stuart and Anthony Alex. You can find From Page to Screen and at Anthony Alex on Twitter. That normally goes up on iTunes and Stitcher. Around about Monday or Tuesday, you can also find them on Spreaker as well.
Yeah, I forgot about that one, sorry.
They would kill me if I didn't mention that. So.
I don't think I've actually chatted to them yet, so I don't know. I'll get away with that one. But so thank you for listening to us. We will be back again next Monday at 7:30. Until then, we hope you've enjoyed listening as much as we've enjoyed doing the show, and to looking forward to a good 2013 full of films, I believe.
Hopefully.
We'll see you next Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye.